That in those most challenging moments of your ministry in your life, it was a business leader that was there to break through the challenge with you. And it just reminds me of kind of like an Ezra and Nehemiah relationship. If we want to see revival and reformation and kingdom impact in our city, it's going to take a lot more than pastors and church leaders and ministry leaders. It's going to take, first of all, we know we're all in ministry together. We're all building the kingdom together. We all have a heart together. But I think there's something really amazing when pastors and business leaders join arms and just say, hey, let's build the kingdom in our city. So, business leaders, entrepreneurs, and just people that are kingdom-minded in the marketplace have always just had a place in my heart. And I've always asked the Lord, Lord, just no matter what you do with Revive, just please allow me to always create a room for business leaders to bless them. And so there's three main things I want for all of you when you come. The first one is care. And it's just like, hey, look, we care about you. We see you. Leading is lonely. Building, all the time. I think the enemy tries double time to convince business leaders and marketplace leaders that what you do isn't impacting the kingdom, which could not be further from the truth. You guys are massively impacting the kingdom in what you're doing. You're making a huge difference. And I just want to be a voice that reminds you of that. Hey, thank you for what you're doing. You're building the kingdom, and I care. And so I told you guys on the first week, if there's ever anything I can do for you, please just call or text me. Every person, again, business leaders have lawyers for your business, you have doctors for your health, you have mechanics for your car. Every person needs a pastor. And when I say that, you don't have to come to Revive Church. I'm not worried about that. But I do want you to have somebody you can call if you need something. Everybody needs that. And I'm just saying, if you need something, call me. I will meet with you as quickly as I can, but I'll pray for you immediately. So even if I can't meet with you right now, I'll pray for you right now. I'll meet with you as soon as I can. Because what you do matters. So I just want you to know we care. Secondly, community. There's something powerful, as you guys know. When you get in the same room with like-minded, kingdom-minded business leaders, God just begins to do things that could only happen in an environment like this. We've intentionally kept this small for right now. We don't know what we're going to do in the future. But for now, we've kind of just invited a handful of kingdom-minded leaders in the city that you know and have a relationship with. But I would encourage you, I feel like you're missing an opportunity if you only come and talk to the person you know and leave. Please, just talk to a few people, make a few connections every week, and I think God can really use those relationships. And then lastly, I really, really love helping people fulfill their kingdom calling. And so I've really, really enjoyed over the ministry that I've had, having conversations and meals with business leaders. And I have multiple times heard a similar thing, which is I don't know how what God has asked me to do is impacting the kingdom. They can't quite make that connection between what they're doing and how they're doing. So I just want to help you with that. If there's anything I can do, or honestly, you guys can help each other. But I care about your calling. I believe in your calling, and what you do matters. And so that's really the heart behind this. We don't really ever want anything from you. We just want you to leave feeling blessed and connected and cared for, encouraged. And so today I'm really excited because we have a really good friend of mine, Paul Gustavson, who's going to be bringing a message to us today. And man, it was, Paul, maybe you can help me remember it. How many years ago was it we did the leadership?
12 years ago.
12 years ago. I was young and on fire and just ready to change the whole world. And so I'm like, let's do a big leadership conference. And Paul had the wisdom, and it must have been God called him to do it. He's like, hey, I'll come alongside you and help you do that. Me and a guy named James Boslaw. And so Paul is just this guy. He's been such an encourager and a father. And I think Paul has a lot to offer young business leaders, but all business leaders. The Lord has used him to build an incredible business, SimVentions, that's had a massive impact, a massive kingdom impact. Seems like everywhere I go, somebody has been blessed by this business that he's built. So I can't think of a better person to pour into us this morning. He has an amazing wife, Barbara. He has 2 sons, a daughter-in-law. He has 2 dogs. I had to make sure I get them in this intro. He is the co-founder of SimVentions. He also, his latest book is called Face the Mountain. And everybody can grab one on your way out. It's on the table, so please help yourself. But could you guys help me welcome Paul?
All right, good morning, guys. How you doing?
Good.
You ready? It's Friday. Weekend's here, almost. See if I can balance that off there. I may or may not use notes. I just figure I'd bring it up here. There we go. All right. So I'm glad I love round tables because I think it creates some opportunity for some discussion. So hopefully what I will share today will create some opportunities for you guys to kind of kick it around at the table. I wanted to, I appreciated the invite. Thank you so much. So I feel like Revive is it's one of those lighthouses in our community. And I mean that. You guys, what an impact you're making. I want to talk about vision today. I believe that God's called us to never stop dreaming.
Yeah, that's good.
I think a lot of times I was guilty of this. You get the dream, and you're like, cool, we got the dream, let's go do it, right? And then you stop. Like, okay, because you have the dream. What else is there? You let other folks work it, and we're going to talk about that a little bit. But what if God's called us to continue to dream? Yeah. To keep going, right? Yeah. That maybe the dream isn't a destination, it's a journey.
Yeah, that's good.
And I just want to encourage you with that today. I'm going to share 4 elements of a dream and really of a vision. The most important thing that we can do, at least in my experience, is to find some thinking partners. So I was talking to Mark earlier, right? I'm always looking for thinking partners. We need thinking partners. Because we can get on islands, guys. You guys remember COVID? Right? I was on an island for a little bit, but you got to get on it. Yeah. And this is a great event and venue to get off the island, so, for men and women. So kingdom building, I love that. We're going to talk a little bit about that. But I just want to start with just a little bit of my story. You heard about SimVentions, maybe. How many of you guys have heard of SimVentions? Wow. Gosh, it's humbling. Awesome. It started off as a dream, a little idea. So where did dreams start? Dreams start with these little moments. They're either peaks or valleys. In fact, they're both. Yeah. I'm going to share a few stories, but I think sometimes it's good to go back and revisit some of those spots and those times where God kind of ordered the steps and gave you maybe at least the next step. Yeah. All right? And so for me and my co-founders, there's 3 of us that started SimVentions back in 2000. I think the vision actually started a little bit before that, a long time before that. I remember thinking about business when I was in college, and I thought, well, yeah, that's a cool thing. But here's the funny thing about a dream. They're easy. It's easy to dream. It's easy to say, hey, here's an idea. And you might write it down, maybe you don't. I would highly encourage you, if you have dreams, to write them down. Yeah, that's good. Because or else they're just going to disappear. Write your dreams down. Find a journal, have a capture, journal where you capture things. Yeah. Please do that. It's changed my life. I've written a couple books, but they all start with just journaling. Yeah. Every one of them. And by the way, these books, they're really autobiographies. It's whatever I'm going through at that time. I'm stirred in some way, like face the mountain. Guess what? I was facing the mountain. Yeah. So you start writing whatever you're going through. And then you bring in some other folks like this and say, hey, look, I'm going through this challenge right here. But it's always good to go back and revisit. So when we started SimVentions, it was actually a few years before that, we had this idea, everything starts with an idea. What do you do with an idea? You start sharing it. So we started okay, what if? We were working on a project for the Navy, for the Army actually. We thought, what if we could take this technology and make it work in the commercial space? We did a lot with simulation at that time, still do. And so we went to this little place called Focus on the Family. Anybody ever heard that? All right, so we went out to Colorado Springs, met with a guy named Clark Miller, talked to their adventure, and anybody ever heard of Adventure and Odyssey? All right, so we talked to the producers of Adventures in Odyssey, and we're like, wow, we can bring maybe some simulation stuff to you guys and maybe do something with Adventures in Odyssey. So they gave us all these resources. I remember listening to all these tapes, Whitaker, some of you guys know. The other year, guy, what is he talking about? Check it out, Adventures in Odyssey, it's still around. And so it was kind of cool. We created a map of, I forget the town, Odyssey. We created this cool map, and we thought we were going to go that direction. But here's what God was doing. We had this idea of taking technology and doing something with it. God was planting a seed in us before we even started SimVentions about how to lay a framework down for a business.
Yeah, that's good.
This is what's powerful. When you cast a vision and you pursue that vision, God will take something with that vision and he'll plant other visions in other people that they can build off your vision.
Yeah, that's good.
Anybody ever seen the movie Inception? A dream within a dream? You know, it's fantasy, but think about what God actually does with a vision. Like, it's kind of neat right now just to see other visions sparking up within our company of folks building off the vision that we started with. Every vision that really has existed since time is really a vision within somebody else's vision. It's Edgar Allan Poe actually had that quote, like, a dream within a dream. I'm like, wow. And that's why we should never stop dreaming, because, hey, look, legacy is not what you build, it's who you build.
That's right.
So if we can start to see other people spark a dream and start moving through that, and we've created at least some foundation for it, really maybe through God's help, hopefully through God's help, then that's pretty cool. That's something that we can just praise God about.
Yeah.
And I just want to encourage you guys with that. So early on, we go to Focus, and we meet with Clark Miller, and we get these foundations. We came out of that. It's kind of like a mountaintop experience. Imagine Moses. I think of it now. Maybe I'm using my imagination too much, but it kind of felt like this. After 2 years with Adventures in Odyssey, just trying to explore that, we came off the mountaintop with 15 laws in terms of how we could build our business, just kingdom-based. And I captured that. It's a book I've never published yet, but I was looking at it earlier this week. Like 15 laws. You know what law number 1 is? Start with the master builder. Start with the master builder.
That's good.
And that's law 1 for a reason. We got to start there. So the first thing that you do with the vision is that you have to dream it. It's okay to dream. Now, when I was a kid, I was the daydreamer. Any daydreamers? 3 of you. Okay, cool. All right. And it was kind of funny, right? So when the report card came, my parents would look at the grades. I thought they were looking at the grades. They weren't looking at the grades. There was this other second half of the page of the report card. I don't know where you grew up. I grew up in Northern Virginia after my family moved around a little bit because they were in the Navy. And in the report card, it wasn't just the letter grades for arithmetic and English and all that stuff. It was just kind of behavioral stuff. How are you doing? Like, use his time wisely. Guess who was really low on that one? I was not very good on that. Right? The teacher would always say, does not really use his time wisely. What was I doing? I was dreaming. And then right about, the age of 12 or 13, you can see this. There's actually a scientific study. I did this. I wrote another book called Imagine, and I explored the imagination. I think it's the most powerful muscle you have. It's the most powerful muscle you have. It is the component for faith. Yeah. And think about it. Your faith requires your imagination. If you go and open the scripture and you look for verses like, look for any terms that says think upon, consider, reflect upon, and you just change that, look at that word and say, you know what if I just plug in imagine? As a man thinketh, as a man imagines, so is he. And you start to look at that like, wow, God, you've given me such a powerful instrument with my imagination. But here's the funny thing with imagination. It'll either lift you or it will limit you.
Yeah, that's good.
Because in those conversations that we have with folks, when we have those discussions and dialogues, and the things that take place between the gaps of what's being said and shared, our imagination just fills it's constantly running. It is constantly running. It's filling in those thoughts. And those thoughts may be wrong. So we've got to make sure we align our values properly, or else we're going to go off. It's not going to be good. We're going to start thinking worst case scenario kind of stuff, things like that. So we've got to stay focused. So at 13 years old, you see the scientific study, you see, wow, from the age of maybe 1 year old, maybe even sooner, I don't know how they measure babies, but you can see just the cognitive impact of that playful imagination. It's super high. And then about 13, it starts taking this dip. And then it starts to flat line. Not at the bottom, but it's just buzzing, right? It's kind of like that, that tinnitus kind of sound, right? All the way through life. Until you finally get towards the end of life, and then it peaks back up again. Huh? It's kind of crazy. Those in their last years, their imagination perks up again. Not quite as high as when they were younger, but a lot more than what it was for the average of their life. And I think for us to break average, that's another book I wrote, for us to break average, we got to live above that line. Yeah. We got to leverage that imagination. And so when I was 13 years old, probably the most profound moment, I didn't expect it. Most times, profound moments come unexpectedly. For me and my family, and I'm dating myself here, I was 13 years old in 1980. My whole family is crowded around the television. It's winter, it's February. Guess what we're watching? Water polo? No. Wonderful Life. No, not A Wonderful Life. Could have, no. We're watching the Winter Olympics. Lake Placid, all right? Yes, we watched the hockey, but that wasn't just it. There was a lot of cool stuff that was happening. And for me, I was a skier. I started skiing when I was 8 or 9 years old, and I loved skiing. So I was tuned in to the slalom race. The final Olympic event of 1980 was the men's slalom. Ingemar Stenmark from Sweden was the #1 skier in the world. Our skiers, we had 2, and they were twins. Phil and Steve Mahre. Anybody ever heard of them? Okay. So they were pretty good too. And Steve was knocked out. He was out of contention. But his brother Phil was still in play. His first run, there was always 2 runs in that final competition, and they take the cumulative time of your score, and based on the lowest speed, that's your opportunity to get a medal. And he had the fastest time on the first run. We got a chance for a medal in this final competition. And Ingemar Stenmark, he's in second. So we're all tuned in. We got popcorn. Mom popped some popcorn, just enjoying it. And they go to a commercial break, right? So we're just watching. Back in the day, it wasn't live television, by the way. I don't know if you knew this or not. But back then, they didn't have real-time broadcasts. They recorded it, and then they would play it later at prime time for you to watch. And, they did a good job of hiding the news so that we didn't have internet back then. So we don't know what internet was. So we're watching this thing. We have no idea what's going to happen. Is Phil going to be able to medal in this thing? They come back from the commercial. I'm just ready to go. Let's go, Phil. You can do it. And they say, hey, Phil Mahre's coming up. We're going to watch his final run here. But before we do, we had an interview with him and his brother at the top of the mountain. And the whole family decides, oh, man, we don't need to see an interview. Let's just watch this race. Well, that interview changed my life. So they interview Phil. I don't know which one. The twins look the same, so I don't know if it was Phil or Steve. So it doesn't really matter. But they're saying, what is it like when you're right before the race? What do you do? How do you prepare for that race? They're near the starting gates, and he goes, well, the first thing we do is we imagine it. We imagine that whole run from start to finish, every turn, every twist, every element of that run. If I don't play that visually in my mind, I can't have my best run. Now, for me, at 13 years old, daydreamer, use the time wisely guy, not very good, that was a spark that I needed for the rest of my life. That's the first time I heard an athlete talk about using visualization and imagination in that way. And ever since then, I've just been absolutely focused on that element. You know what? Let's get this right. A lot of times where I've kind of slipped and messed up, thinking worst case scenarios, is when I don't leverage my imagination the right way. That's why I think God's word is so important for us in our daily life, in our businesses, not just on Sundays. We've got to get tuned right. But that really helped me. It's helped me, I think, there were some dips there. I'm going to talk about that, right? But that was really an important spark for me. And I love talking about that. I could spend the whole morning just talking about the power of our imagination. But there was another moment where, so that was a peak for me. As I look back, and I think if you look back, and I want you guys to do that here for just a minute, look at some of the peaks that had happened, the little moments, maybe the TV with the popcorn moment where there was a moment of insight, a flash of insight that really affected you and has changed your life. Maybe it was some kind of experience that you had with somebody else. What are those peaks? But there's also the pits, right? There's also those things, those valley moments that take place. And those are significant too. They really are. So when I was, I think 17, I was working at a camp out in Colorado called Spring Canyon. Beautiful place. And all summer long, I'm seeing this amazing peak. I'm like, wow, that would be really cool to climb. How many folks like climbing the mountains? 3 of you, again, same people. Yeah, I mean, it is so cool to see a mountain peak, and you're like, wow, that would be really neat to go up there. So I'm like, wow, that'd be so neat. And then I was talking to an Air Force cadet who was there one week, and I said, what if you want to climb that with me? Maybe we can get breakfast, be the first ones. We'll get breakfast, and we'll get back by lunch. Can we do that? Because nobody else had done that. So we thought, well, let's try. So we set out one morning, grabbed an early breakfast, head out, and it's super cold. It's like July, but it's super cold. And we head up that mountain. I remember we split off because we couldn't climb one behind the other because you're kicking up rocks and things like that. And he takes a different line, gets up to the hook a little bit faster. That was the peak that we were looking at. It was just a little lower than 14,000 feet. It was at the highest peak of Princeton. Princeton's a 14,000 foot mountain. But this is a little lower peak, just more majestic. And he gets there a little faster. He's coming back down. He says, should I wait for you? I said, no, you can do it. You can make it to lunch. I won't be far behind. So that was probably words that I regretted later, because you should never climb alone. You should never climb alone. So he goes off. I go up to the hook. There's a book there. So I go to the hook, sign the book, take a look, and I'm off the mountain. Okay? I'm only on the summit for 10 seconds, 20 seconds? Not long. Right? And we think those summit moments are so important in our life that we have to hit the summit, but you're never on the summit for long.
That's right.
You never are. That's not where your identity's at. But I want to focus on this vision element. So I'm coming back down the mountain, and this time I'm by myself. And I hit this one spot we were on earlier. It was fine earlier. But now the ground feels really loose. It's called a scree field. It's very steep. And I'm trying to traverse across this thing. And I look down at the bottom, and there's this line of trees, and against the trees are boulders and other fallen trees. Lots of rocks, lots of trees. It's a graveyard down there. And I'm like, this does not feel good. Sometimes we think climbing the mountain's the hard part, but sometimes coming off the mountain is the hard part. So as I'm coming across, all of a sudden the ground breaks free, and I go on a landslide. And I'm just like, oh my gosh. And I'm just praying out to God, doing everything I do, trying to claw my way to stop, afraid of the worst. And somehow, miraculously, I stop about 40 feet from the bottom, maybe the last 30 feet. I don't remember the distance. But I do remember just clawed, holding on, still feeling rocks coming tumbling over me. Then I'm hearing the wind and whispering in the trees not far off, and finally just settled down. And I kind of opened my eyes to see how I was, and I was hurting. Certain I was concussed. Shoulder was killing me. My leg was just absolutely in pain. So I finally get off that mountain, and I check further, like I'm just bleeding really bad. Kind of wrap that up, and I wander back to camp, looking like an extra in Rambo. Just bloody. Walk into the cafeteria, miss lunch. Totally missed lunch. Didn't make it. They had just finished up. You could still smell the food. They're like, okay, cool. I remember a guy came out to clean the tables. He had a rag, And he was about to clean the table, and he saw me as I came up the stairs, and he realized the rag wasn't for the table. It was for me. So he cleaned me up. And then Lieutenant Colonel Tom Hemingway, he was the director of that camp. He comes to talk to me, and he hears the story, and he says, "Do you realize you could have lost your life on that mountain today?" I go, "Yeah." "Do you realize that every day is a gift?" Wow. And then he asks this question. I still think of this every single day, by the way. Do you realize that every day is a gift? The question is, what are you going to do with that gift? What are you going to do with that gift? And that was a powerful moment. That was kind of a pit moment. The reason why it was a pit moment is because it was a traumatic experience for me to come down that mountain. And I took the foot off the gas, guys. I stopped. I slowed down. Even though I heard such great wisdom from that man, I was afraid to do anything. I had aspirations because I'm a dreamer. And all of a sudden, I stopped dreaming. So I took a big dip right there. And it wasn't until years later, when I was in college, that, boom, everything came back to life. I just want you to think about your peaks and pits. What are some of those things that have happened in your life? Because here's why they're important. As you go back and rewind the tape and look at those things, they will have an impact on that vision that you cast, because it creates meaning, right? So it helps shape what it is that you care about and what you've gone through and how you can impact other people's lives. So as you get ready to share that, I'll share one more bit. So I'm in college. Remember, I'm below the line, right? So here's this imagination line that our cognitive brains are working at, and I'm probably running underneath it. Not there. It used to be way up there. Now it's dipped. And I'm struggling in college. Anybody struggle in college? A couple of us. All right. So I'm struggling. I'm trying to finish. I'm in my last semester. And I'm afraid I'm not going to make it. I'm just kind of pouting, kind of like Eeyore. It's not good. My wife's wondering what's going on. Of course, she was my girlfriend then, right? She's my wife now. So my girlfriend is like, "What is going on with you, Paul? What's happening?" And I'm just moping. I say, "The teachers don't understand. I don't know how I'm going to finish." So I don't know what, I just complain a little bit. And then she asked a question, another moment that changed my life. She said, "But you still have hope, don't you?" And I paused for a moment and I started thinking, and everything fired back up again. Remember Tom Hemingway, every day is a gift. What are you going to do with it? I realized I had some dreams and some visions, and I realized I had hope. So I said to her, "Yeah, I do." And that sparked a lot of things for me. I graduated, no problem, right? I got my degree. It started allowing me to dream again. And so here are the things that, 4 things in terms of dreaming, right? Never stop dreaming. First, you got to dream. You got to dream. So make sure you cast that vision. That vision, God's collaborating with you. I believe this. So when when a vision comes to you, there may be some element of God really sharing that and imparting that thought in your mind, right? The struggles that you go through, those pits, those peaks that you've experienced, they all have some sort of impact for you. There are moments that take place that God's going to give us that insight and allow us to go forward. Never stop dreaming, right? So the first one is dream. The next one is you got to design that dream. Because if you don't do anything with that dream, it's just going to go away. You got to design it. You got to take time to say, "Okay, God, I got this. What do I do with it? What do I do with it?" And here's the thing. My problem is when I get a dream, if I'm not careful, I'm trying to design the whole thing out. Can't do that. You'll never get the perfect dream designed out. What you want to know is, God, what is the end goal here? What is your long-range vision for it? So dreaming is about long-range vision. And I don't need to know all the steps. How many of you folks have been in a meeting when somebody has a great idea? It's the great why. But somebody says, "Well, how are you going to get that done?" And then the dream dies. All right? Because we don't know the full how. God is the master planner, Jeremiah 29:11. For I know the plans I declare for you, plans to prosper you, not to harm you. He's got the plan. He just wants you to get clear on the vision, the long-range vision. And all I need to do is see that next step. That's all I need. It's just that next step. That's faith. Faith is not seeing the whole staircase. It's just seeing that first step. When you design it, keep in mind, like, all I need to do is get clear in terms of the long-range why this is impactful. What's that next step that I need to do? We call it minimal viable product in our business. What's the minimal viable thing that I've got to do? The third thing is you got to get ready to declare it. So once you dream it, once you start to design it, then you've got to declare it. All right? Because if you don't declare it, it's just going to go away. Because designing is actually still daydreaming, to be honest with you, and it's good. But if you don't declare it, you don't bring other people with you. No dream survives without human contact. You've got to have other folks with you. You have to have a team with you. And that was what's powerful about SimVentions is I was dreaming this business after I graduated, even before that, I remember thinking, boy, wouldn't it be cool to have a business? And I didn't do anything with it. I was designing some stuff with it. Then when Focus on the Family happened, like, ooh, got some more design elements to it. And then I met some guys along the way that I could declare that dream with, and they declared their dream. I was like, wow, peanut butter chocolate Reese's, let's go. Let's do it. And so we did, 2000. And then the thing is that you have to deliver the vision. So those are the four elements I think that are important. We just keep that rolling. We got to keep it going. Keep dreaming, keep designing, keep declaring, and then keep delivering. And God does his thing. And like I shared earlier, you start to see that how your dream sparks other dreams. And that's what's powerful. So I just think it's so important for us to never stop dreaming. So how are we doing on time?
Yeah,
good.
We can. You can give us an assignment, and the people that can stay, the people that can go, they go, and then I can just pray over everybody before they leave.
Sure, yeah. How important is the dream for you? What are your thoughts as you sit here? Because the most important thought isn't anything I've shared, it's what God has been speaking to you. What's God doing in you? What is he stirring in you? What are you designing? Here's your opportunity to declare a dream. Anybody want to declare a dream? Because you got some thinking partners in the room right here. I know some of you guys are dreamers too. The thing about dreamers, I will say this. You need three elements. You need that person to dream, you need somebody to help you design, and you need somebody to help implement that. So if you can find those three things, that's powerful. That's powerful. I'll share this one last story. So when we started SimVentions, we didn't start off as a defense contractor. Here's the other funny thing about dreams. God will get you started, and he's got the wheel. He'll steer it. We don't steer it. We just have to be faithful stewards of the dream. So when we started, I told you, focus on the family. We're going to develop games. We know simulation. We're going to do something with it. We hooked up with a company called Kodak. Anybody ever heard of Kodak? Yeah, you guys. They were the top dog in photography, right, Phil? So we developed an application called PhotoVisor that let you take your images and create slideshows with it with just a push of a button. You could sync it to music and all that. It was pretty cool. And so we had this relationship with Kodak, and we thought, okay, this could be cool. But you know what Kodak forgot to do? Are they still around? Not really. Not like they were.
Just film. So it's very niche. It's not like
very niche, right? So they stopped dreaming. They got caught in TWADI's disease. You know what TWADI's disease is? The way we've always done it.
Yeah, that's good.
So when you get caught in TWADI disease, you know what? God's going to change and shape the vision. You got to be ready for it. He's got to direct it. They invented digital photography, but they didn't have a vision for it because they were so focused on what they had done with film and everything else, with paper photography, that they lost the bubble there. not the same. Now, if they had continued to cast a vision, they could have been the top dog. We'd still be talking about it today. They probably would have invented an Instagram or something else. So the point is, never stop dreaming. So I'm going to hand it back over to you, but appreciate that.
Thank you so much. Don't forget, if you want a copy of Paul's book, to grab it on your way out. I do want to pray. I was feeling what Paul was saying. A couple of you had dreams. I do think there's a couple people in this room that have stopped dreaming and are below the line. So real quick, for 20 seconds, I just want to pray that God will activate our dreams. It says, God says, in the last days I'll pour my spirit out on all flesh. Your young men or your old men will dream dreams, your young men will have visions. And so I think again, just in that realm of the kingdom, I think dreams and visions increase, they don't decrease. So let's just pray real quick. Father, I thank you for Paul, Lord. I thank you for all that you've done in his life and through his business and even through his imagination, Lord. I thank you that you love to partner with us, God. I thank you that you want your sons and daughters to never stop dreaming. God, I thank you that you even called us to write the vision down and to make it plain. Lord, you've called us to design the dreams that you put in our hearts. So God, I pray for every person in this room. I pray for an activation of dreams again. Lord, I even felt like when Paul mentioned that word about hope, that was the problem for a couple people in here, that you've lost hope. And so God, I pray something about today, even right now, God, that hope would rise up. God, that dreams would rise up, that vision would rise up. Lord, I pray that the people in this room would not settle for less than your best for their life. God, I pray that if there's a dream you planted in their heart many years ago, or if there's new dreams you want to plant in their heart today, God, I pray that you would activate those, that you would breathe on those. And Lord, who knows? Who knows what's in the room right now? Who knows how the people in this room right now could impact the world for the sake of the kingdom. So God, we ask you to breathe on us, to fill us with your spirit. And Lord, I just pray that everybody here today would dream again. In Jesus' name, amen.